Dustin with Tango Down Customs. Thanks for checking out our video, whether you got here by way of a YouTube search or a Google search, or you've purchased one of our stencils and you're here to get some advice on what to do next. I appreciate you checking it out, and I also appreciate you buying our stencils if that's the case. If you're interested in our stencils, I got another video up that explains the type of vinyl we use and everything about these. I'll post a link to that in this video, and that'll give you some more information. We do sell the highest quality vinyl stencils you can get. They're good for Cerakote, Duracoat, heat, air cure, whatever you're using. We sell these all over the country and the world, and they go out to DIY guys, gun finishers, companies, etc. So if you're interested in that, definitely hit us up. All the links will be below with actually a coupon code as well. So ever since we started selling these, we got a lot of questions. The first thing is prep work. What should I do now that I got the stencils, and how should I start my gun? First thing you're going to want to do is probably take your gun apart. If you're not sure how to completely strip your gun, watch a YouTube video. There's pretty much a video for every gun online you can find. If you're still not comfortable, if it's an AR and you're just not comfortable taking out all your controls and everything else, go down to your local gun shop. Pay the extra 10, 20 bucks, whatever they're going to charge you to fully strip it down, take it home, do your work, and then bring it back to them and have them put it all back together once everything's cured up. It might cost you an extra 30 or 40 bucks. Honestly, it's going to save you a ton of time. I've taken in projects, and I was doing a lot of Duracoat where I said, oh, don't worry about it, I'll strip it down for you, no big deal. I ended up spending more time learning how to strip that gun down and doing that and putting it back together than I did actually doing the finishing work. So if you're not an armor and you're not super comfortable doing it, you're probably just better off paying a gun shop to do it. It's going to save you a lot of time. Second thing, now that you got your gun stripped apart and you're moving on from there, you got to get it clean. That's the biggest thing. Whether it's oils, carbon residue, or dirt or something like that, you got to get the gun clean. If your gun's in really bad shape, you got rust, you got pitting, the finishes are like almost chipping off and it just looks like shit, I would probably suggest going to a professional and just having a professional do it. It needs to be stripped. All that old crappy finish needs to be stripped off down to bare steel and then recoated. And once you strip off that finish and go down to bare steel, it needs to be recoated quickly, because that's when there's nothing to protect it, so it's going to start oxidizing and rusting on its own. So if you're in that type of scenario, you may want to think about just paying somebody to do it. However, that's not the point of this video. So let's move on from there and say your finish and your current, everything is good. So like I said, you got to get it clean. So now you got all your parts, take them and scrub them, use soap and water, get the dirt, get that first layer of crap off your gun that builds up, all that oil that sits on the surface, all of that just crap that collects on a gun over time. Get that off. The new finish you put on, whether it's Cerakote, Duracoat, Gun Coat, or Krylon, is only as good as the finish that it's sitting on. If it's on bare steel, that's even better. But if you put it on a crappy finish, it's going to end up being crappy in the long run. So make sure your finish is good and then get everything clean. From there, this is what I use. Duracoat and Lauer, they sell their Duracoat stripper degreaser. I found this is basically the same thing, and it's about a fourth of the price. I get this from Walmart, and it's the Super Tech brake cleaner. And you can get brake cleaner anywhere. I just found that Walmart's the cheapest. It's about $2.97 a can. When you buy it, however, make sure it's labeled non-chlorinated and residue-free. Make sure you don't get the stuff with residue, otherwise you're gonna have all this crap all over your gun. So, non-chlorinated, residue-free brake cleaner. That's gonna lift all the oils up out of this finish and out of the steel and out of the gun and bring them to the surface so they can get sprayed off. And what I like about this is it's got the little straw, and it comes out pretty hard. Like, it comes out with a nice little blast, so as you're spraying down your gun, as it's hanging up and you're spraying it, you're spraying the crap off the gun while you degrease it. The oil is the single biggest thing that will prevent your finish from sticking to your rifle. If you have a ton of oil on your gun, then the finish might not even sit. It might just flake off immediately. And if it's a little bit and it doesn't flake off immediately, it probably isn't gonna last very long. It's just You can imagine why. So I suggest this, if you're doing a long gun, get 2 cans to be safe and apply it liberally. You can't use too much of this stuff. If you're just doing a handgun or a slide or a frame or something, 1 can should do you. Alright, with that being said, once you have everything degreased, wear gloves. You should be wearing gloves anyway with that stuff, but you have oils on your hands. You're sweating, just the natural oils of your hands, that's why we leave fingerprints everywhere. It's going to end up back on a gun. Don't do all this work to clean your gun and degrease it and then go and manhandle it and palm the receiver and move it from place to place, because you just left an entire palm print of oil on the receiver of that gun. Get some gloves, glove up, don't handle that gun again without gloves. And I suggest changing your gloves. You know, move the parts where you need to, mix your paint, put on new gloves. Then spray. If you're doing another color, put new gloves. The last thing you want is to have some leftover black on your thumb from your airbrush, and then you turn around and throw on some FDE or some OD green, and you grab the gun to hold it, and you leave a big black splotch on there that was on your glove. It's just something to think about. Change your gloves. Moving on from there, as far as the actual spraying technique, I'm not going to get into a ton of detail. It's kind of different for every type of finish. You know, Krylon, it goes on thick. It's coming out of a rattle can. You don't have a whole lot of control. So give yourself a little bit of distance and long strokes, smooth strokes. Don't let that can sit. You're going to start to get runs. And also, if that paint, because that's paint, that's not really a finish. If that paint gets too thick, it's going to gum up all of the mechanics and all the working parts. You know, if it's just on the barrel or on the receiver, it might not matter, but as soon as you start filling in holes and add in those micrometers of thickness, you're going to start messing with your mechanics. If you're doing Duracoat or Cerakote and you're using an airbrush, you know, one tip I can give you with Duracoat that I learned is don't be afraid to pull back that trigger on the airbrush and kind of lay it on thick. If you don't get enough paint coming through the brush, it'll actually flash dry before it hits it, and then you get this like powdery rough residue on the gun, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. It should go on nice and glossy and thick, and it'll dry out from there. There's plenty of videos on how to do that. So once you got that initial coat on, you want to lay a stencil. This comes up obviously more with my Cryptek style stencils than anything else. But with these, people want to know, how do you apply them? Do you use a transfer paper or anything like that? I personally don't sell these with transfer paper. It's expensive. It would increase the cost of the individual stencil, and I don't find that it's needed. The projects that I've done, I haven't needed it. I peel this off, and it's like a spider web, and you just lay it down and drape it. And when it comes to these, if you're doing something smaller, cut it up. Take an X-Acto knife and cut the part out you need. You don't need to use this entire thing like this to do the top side of a slide or, you know, the back strap of a gun. Cut out the part you need, lay it on there, and then use the rest somewhere else. You know, be economical with it. All my stencils are designed to give you the most for your money, as opposed to a lot of other sellers. You can see it with my duck hunter here. I spent a lot of time rearranging all these little pieces to cram them in. So when you buy a sheet from me, you know, you don't have to buy 5. You have a lot of stencils here to work with. But anyway, back to transfer paper. Once you have the web laid down with the Cryptek, what you're going to have left are all these little inlays, all these little solid pieces. You can go through and put those where you want them. I personally went through, especially on the center design, and added more inlays with the software than originally was here. So you don't have to use all of these solid inlays. Cryptek kind of breaks up and bunches up and then fades out, and pull up a JPEG of it online, do a Google image search and follow that and see how it flows. You know, use this group and then get rid of these. You know, you can do whatever you want with these. These are made to customize. If though, however, you do want to use a transfer paper and you're not comfortable enough peeling this off and laying it down, you just want to transfer it over, which does make sense in certain cases, especially like maybe a gun slide, a handgun slide like a Glock. Transfer paper actually works pretty well for that. You have a nice square edge, and you can just wrap it around, push it down, and then peel the transfer paper off. Like I said, I don't sell transfer paper, so this is what I suggest. Go to the grocery store and get some Glad Press and Seal. It's cheap. It's only charging, it's only going to cost you $2 or $3, and it's basically low-tack transfer paper. It's made to stick to each other and then peel apart, and it works just like anything else. I've applied decals to my car, my walls. I've used these stencils. I've used it with this stuff, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper than buying a roll of transfer tape. So just peel this off, press it down on your stencil, and then use a credit card or something, rigid and hard to really, like a little squeegee, like a hard squeegee, and rub it out. Make sure everything's pressed down on there really good. Once you have that on there really good and pressed down, make sure you focus on like the corners and the edges, because that's where you're going to be peeling from. Take it and start peeling it away from the backing. That's once you're ready to use it. Start peeling it away from this white backing, but pay attention, because that stuff's not super tacky. Same with transfer paper. You might have to go through with your fingernail and kind of catch the corner, rub it on there good, and start peeling to make sure it peels away from this white backing. Once you have that, you're good to go, man. Lay it on whatever you're doing. Repeat the process with the credit card or a squeegee. Make sure it's on there really good. The vinyl is stickier than the transfer paper or the Glad Press and Seal, so you shouldn't have as much trouble peeling off the press and seal and getting this to stay on your weapon. So I hope that helps. If you're looking to buy some stencils, check us out. We got our website, we're on eBay. Some things you're going to start to see in the future is our website getting a little bit revamped. We're going to move away from the refinishing angle and start moving towards these stencils. These are taking up enough time to where I can't do both, maintain a full-time job and a family. So this is what we're going to focus on. This is what seems to be working for us. And you know what? We're helping out a lot of guys out there. I really like the fact that, a lot of DIY guys that wouldn't have been able to do this before can get these stencils from us and put stuff together and pimp out their guns. And also finishing companies, is we still are one. So the only other point I would say is, if you are like a refinishing company, you're going to be doing this more often than not, go to Harbor Freight or maybe on Amazon and get yourself like their little pick sets. It almost looks like little dental tools. It comes like five or six little things, a sharp little hook at the end, and that makes it really easy just to take and peel up these stencils. You can grab it by the edge or grab it by the center. You're not constantly using your fingernail to try to pick those off, so it makes it go a little bit faster. If you have any questions, post them here below or shoot me an email. If you want to buy something, let me know. If you want a design but you don't want it weeded, this is how I sell it, with all the excess weeded off. If you want it just left as is, just with the cuts on the vinyl, let me know. I can do that as well. Same with any of my other designs. And thanks for watching.